Max Payne is exactly the sort of video game that lends itself to being a movie, because the presentation of the game is already very cinematic with a strong focus on the film noir style. So obviously when adapting Max Payne and its angsty protagonist to the big screen, the biggest, most important thing should be making sure the movie feels like the game, right? Well, it seems they didn't get that memo. Max Payne is at its heart a fairly traditional cop drama, but has pretenses at symbolism and style that don't always pan out. The story is ostensibly about Max Payne, who works in the cold case section of a police station and is obsessed with solving his wife's unsolved murder. He chases down leads and doesn't find much of anything, but becomes embroiled in a plot involving a failed experimental drug for the military that got into the hands of street gang members and common criminals. He picks up a woman at a party thinking she might be a lead, but she's just looking to get laid. However, after he kicks her ass out of his place, she gets murdered, and seeing as how she had stolen his wallet beforehand, he also becomes a suspect in the murder. His former partner looks into it and finds a connection to Payne's wife's murder, but he himself is killed before he can pass on this vital information. It turns out the company Payne's wife worked for developed a drug for use with the military that makes soldiers fearless, but it became addictive and had screwed up side effects, such as people who take it hallucinate that they're being attacked by demons. The problem is that whenever somebody takes the drug, whether it's a strung-out junkie, a military officer, or at the end of the film, Max Payne himself, they show the demons, and the movie is not clear about whether it's a hallucination or if it's actually happening, and you have to piece it together from the ending that it's all in their heads. The issue is that early on, Max Payne seems to introduce a supernatural bend to the film, but it's not acknowledged or even implemented correctly. It's like watching someone's hallucinations from a third person. It doesn't work. An example of this being done well was in Batman Begins, when you saw the hallucinations caused by a fear toxin. In this case, there's no doubt or ambiguity as to what's going on. But Max Payne confuses you from the get-go. When the woman gets murdered, she's going into withdrawal from the drug, so she imagines a bunch of demons attacking her in the alley outside of Max Payne's place. Then you hear her screaming, and she turns up dead and was apparently torn apart. So the average viewer is led to believe that the demons are real and that they tore her apart. But later on, you find out the demons were in her head, and she was murdered by gang members. Max Payne has some good moments. Mostly the action shoot-'em-up scenes near the end of the film. And it has a decent atmosphere when there aren't a bunch of blue CGI harpies flying around, and Mark Wahlberg does a good job as Max Payne. But the issue is that the filmmakers tried to go in several directions, and they didn't develop any of these in particular, leaving the movie to be incoherent and without a central direction. The movie can be entertaining if you're willing to stretch your disbelief, but it never rises above average. It's not overtly bad, but it has too many flaws to be good. Max Payne gets a 5 out of a possible 10.